Right, good morning everybody. Welcome to another day in the African wild on the Savanna stay-at-home safaris. Interesting weather this morning. A little bit of a cold front moved through last night. A little bit of drizzle, but it brought some nice clouds. Made for a beautiful sunrise. Should burn off today though, but makes a nice change from the clear blue skies of the last couple of weeks. We're starting off in the same area where they had the lions last night at Dam 5. And see if we can pick up some tracks and see what they've been up to during the night, and then obviously what the rest of the day holds in store. We'll just wait and see. So come along and enjoy the ride. Right, so we've done a couple of loops around the block where the Mangane pride were last night. No clear sign of them leaving the block, and potentially the rains affected their tracks, but we think that they might still be in that block, considering that they're still so full from the kill of the kudu. Ali's going to take over the tracking of the Mangane pride. Kevin's just found Hlambela and Tisela. Still the same area around Fig Dam where we had them the last couple of days. We can't resist two leopards playing in the early morning, so we're going to head back there quickly and see if we can get some good action of them. Well, we've got to where Kev's got the two leopards, and clearly see why it's worthwhile coming to see leopards early morning, nice and fresh, nice and cool. They're still at that age where they're very playful. Well, it doesn't get any better than this. Two leopards, young leopards, around 2 years old, very playful still, early morning light, right out in the open. Yeah, everybody's dream. We've been speaking quite a lot about these two over the last few days, and it is quite remarkable the relationship that they have with one another. Usually at this age leopards become fairly solitary and individual, and they go off and do their own thing, even when they're still dependent on their mother. So for these two to be so close is pretty unique. Well, there's not really much one can say about all of that activity, other than what we've already been saying about the playing between siblings being quite a valuable learning lesson, and exactly how their body works and tackling technique that they're going to be using when they're older. But at the moment, just fantastic to sit and watch them play. As it warms up a little bit, they'll move off the clearings, which they've done now, and slowly more and more into a thicker bush. Kind of hoping they'll go up a couple of marulas and chase each other some more, but it's just been fantastic so far. Well, it seems playtime is over for now. They're splitting a little bit. She's going north along this road, and he's turned around and is going the opposite way. So as we said, Tisela has gone further north away from the clearing, and Hlambela's come back down towards the clearing. So we'll just spend a bit of time with him, see what he's going to get up to. So there's about 3 warthogs out in the clearing that he's spotted, that he's keeping an eye on. Still a long way from him, so he's still got a lot of work to do to get anywhere near where they are. But typical cat and typical youngster, he's excited about it and he's inquisitive, so he's got all day too to sneak up on them. So he's lost interest in those warthogs. Had a brief view of a stenbuck running into the block here, which he's half still looking at, but I think it's still quite a long shot for him. It's getting quite thick where he's going to go in there, so we're going to continue, see if we can get back on the tracks of those lions and see if there's anything else exciting happening out there. So we often have seen and spoken about how particularly the large predators utilize these large termite mounds for vantage points, but we haven't really spoken much about the termites themselves, which are massively important in the ecological role that they play within the whole of the ecology of the area. These are macrotermes. They build these very large termite mounds up to kind of 6 meters high. You can see that there's quite a lot of new building been going on over the last couple of weeks. So these termite mounds or colonies basically consist of 3 main castes within the colony. Obviously the first caste is the king and the queen, the reproductive castes. They the ones that produce the eggs that sustain the colony. Then you get the workers. They're the ones that are responsible for collecting of all the food and the material, and also construction of the termite mound and maintenance of the termite mound. And then they got the soldiers that obviously defend the colony when danger is around. This particular species of termite are called fungus growers. They take all the dead plant material, dead wood and dead leaf litter back into the termite mound. They plant them in massive cavities where they grow spores of fungus, plant fungus spores on the dead plant material, and the fungus then partially digests the plant material, which the termites can then feed on, but they also feed on the spores themselves. So these are like little farmers of the bush. Right, so it's taken a little bit longer than we were expecting this morning to find the lions. The tracks had been rained on quite significantly, a little bit more rain around the Dam 5 area this morning. And so it took us a little while to find the tracks where they crossed the road. Ali fortunately has got a few tracks coming south and west, so we're still working the area looking for any fresh signs, and hopefully we'll still find them. Probably going to be asleep by the time we find them, but then for this afternoon we'll know exactly where to go. So let's see if we can get them. Right, after a little bit of tracking, we managed to find them in quite a thick block, but fortunately for us, animals tend to move in a consistently, or lions particularly, in a consistently straight line, so managed to find them. As expected, starting to look for shade. It's clouds are burning off, so don't think they're going to be moving much, but just great to know where they are. Yeah, so as expected, the lions are not showing any sign of moving, but the important thing for us was to find them and know where they are for later on this afternoon, when we hope that they will get a bit more active. So we're gonna let them enjoy their sleep and head back to camp, and we'll see what we can get when we come out this afternoon. Quite a nice view of the hippo out of the water, which you don't see too often in the middle of the day, but now in winter, when the days are a little bit cooler and the sun isn't got such a harsh bite to it, you do find the hippos coming out and sunbathing on the banks of the rivers or the dams. It's obviously a little bit shy of the vehicle and has gone back into the water. So we were just commenting a little while ago between Greg and I that it seems that the breeding herds of elephants have moved off a little bit. A little bit quieter now. Elephant herds seem to tend to move together, so either tons of elephants on the property or very few. So it was quite nice to come around the corner and bump into this little herd of elephants here. There was a question today from one of the viewers of at what age the elephants get their tusks. So it's quite a large variation, individual variation between the elephants at the rate of the tusk growth, but usually you'll start seeing the tusks protruding anywhere between 2 to 4 years old. They start protruding out of the sheath of the skin there, but probably starts growing almost immediately. So the more time we spent with this elephant herd, it's quite clear that it's significantly bigger than I initially thought. Be at least 30 or 40 elephants in this herd. See these two little youngsters feeling very confident with a nice relaxed herd. Obviously not too much stress about the vehicle, so they feel confident enough to challenge the vehicle. Also see that those two don't have any tusks yet. They're probably just over a year old, year and a half. Seems to be quite a lot of energy between all the youngsters this afternoon. Nice cool afternoon. A lot of tussling and sparring between particularly the young males. So this play fighting in elephants is probably equivalent to arm wrestling in humans and boys. It's a way of testing one's strength without any real risk of injury to either party. But it'll go into the memory banks and they'll remember who's physically superior and stronger for the days that they do have to start fighting for dominance within the herd. Right, so wonderful 45 minutes or so spent with that breeding herd of elephants. The sun's getting a little bit low now. We're going to make our way back towards the lions and see if they're getting ready for some action for us as well. So we'll carry on. So just returned back to the Mangan Pride. Just in time it seems. Looks like they're just starting to get a little bit more active, heads up, starting to move around a little bit just as the last of the sun dips below the horizon. One of the advantages of this time of year is the cooler temperatures means that the lions are more likely to get active a little bit earlier than in summer. Summer with it being so hot, easily only get active 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Now in winter it's still nice and fresh early on in the afternoon. Certainly incredible feeling to have 6 lions walk straight past the vehicle within a couple of meters of it. Fantastic. Well, it was pretty cool to see. You quite often find lions clawing trees like that. A number of reasons. One is to kind of just sharpen the claws, stretch the paws a little bit. Also got scent glands between the toes that get left on the tree, so a form of scent marking. And then also just stretching those muscles, getting ready for the evening's activities. Right, we followed the pride into quite a thick block at the moment. It seems like they've got something in their sights. They're walking very quietly and very slowly. Unfortunately, the light has gone for the camera, so we're going to really struggle to film what's going on for the next little bit. But we're going to spend a little bit of time with them and just see if anything materializes, and if it gets dark enough for the spotlight, we'll put that on. Alright, so it seems like not much has materialized. Either what they were hunting has moved off, or they've decided to give it up for now. Obviously we'll continue through the night to try and hunt something. Very difficult for us to follow them while they're hunting, so we're going to let them hunt in peace for the rest of the night and see if we can find them in the morning, find out what the story was. But for now we're going to head back, so we'll let them be. Right, so everybody, nothing more to add on the way back to camp. We're not far from camp now, but a very enjoyable day. A little overcast and drizzly to start, but turned out to be fantastic. Some quality time spent with the Mungen Pride. So yeah, thanks for joining us from Greg and I. Hope you guys have a good evening. Stay at home, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow.